Hello, everyone. Apologies to anyone that came upon this video expecting it to be about baseball. This is actually some tips about assembling a Bauder outdoor aluminum chaise lounge. This first one took me quite a bit of time. The instructions were not entirely clear in a few situations. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to walk through some slides and talk about what I learned. So here you can see a picture of the chaise lounge. It's pretty nice. It's made of aluminum, pretty heavy duty. So kind of in the spirit of IKEA, they give you these instructions. There are a few words involved. There's 6 major steps involved, and they describe the hardware, which you can see on the left. Some of the issues I had, I spent a lot of time before I got started trying to organize the hardware, which you can see in the picture on the right, I did. But I found the picture of the hardware was more accurate than the words. So for example, the yellow highlighted area says there are 2 spring washers, or what I always called lock washers, in the H hardware assembly, but there aren't 2. There are 2 flat washers and 1 lock washer at the top end where the nut is. Same thing with K and L, and I think K and L are essentially the same thing, 2 each. But there is a spring washer or lock washer, as you can see near the bottom of the picture, again up against the nut, which is not in the list of the description of what the the hardware assembly will have. And so what I ended up doing, I was just confused, and as you can see on the right, what I ended up doing is I put together the hardware, the nuts and bolts and washers, and got them organized. And so they do give you wrenches, and they can be very useful, particularly the second one from the right. I didn't use it until the end, but if I'd used it earlier, it would have been a lot easier than using the one on the far right. And then there's 2 different sizes of Allen wrenches. There are actually 4 stud bolts. I have them shown separately here, but that's item I on the hardware list. And there are 4 K/L mechanisms or assemblies, and they do have the spring or lock washer, even though it's not on the list, as you can see there. I think K and L are the same thing. So in terms of the size of the bolts, the longest ones are the H bolts. There are actually 4 sets of them. I had already used 2 of them when I took this picture. Then there's a medium-sized one, which is the K and L bolts, and then there are some very small ones, which is in the red box here, the J bolt, and I guess the stud bolts are kind of an intermediate size as well. We'll talk more about those later. I ended up with some extra hardware, which you see on the right. I did not panic. I think that's intended. I did not use it. Okay, let's go on. So the first 3 steps. So the base of the unit where you would sit, the first thing you do is attach an arm using the H bolt mechanism or assembly. The next thing you do on the left of step 2 is you're going to attach the axle, which will have the what the wheels roll on, and then you can attach the other arm, and then you attach the 2 legs at the far end of the base unit. So let's talk about those steps. So it's not that difficult to put the arm on as long as you have everything positioned correctly. But um, one of my other biggest sources of confusion was to where to put that black spacer. And so what I did, I took a guess, and I think I was right. The black spacer goes between the arm um, itself and the base unit. As you can see, kind of in the middle of that red box. So you have the, the bolt top, if you will, facing outward. You have a flat washer. You have the arm. You have the spacer. You have the base, and then you have a flat washer. You have the spring washer, and then at the, on the inside facing inward. So I I I thought it would look better with the nut facing inward. Hopefully, I'm not wrong about that. We are going to put cushions on this as it's just hard metal, so that should work out. You can see on the right, as I said, on the outside. Um, oh, it looks like I do have a lock washer or spring washer under the head of the bolt as well. So that's the arm. Then I turned it on its side and I put the axle in to the, I guess the arm, you could say. And then I turned it over and then I started attaching the other arm and putting part of the arm through the other part of the axle. You use that same H bolt assembly again. And I had to get my wife involved to help hold it up while I attach the second arm. Next is a pretty simple step. You put on the legs. There's that stud bolt that we talked about before. It actually has a hex wrench opening at the one end, so that needs to be upward. And you see on the far right, those stud bolts screw into the base, and then you tighten them with one of the Allen wrenches. And then you can see the attached leg on the left side of the right picture. And I put the washer, I put the washer, the two washers actually onto the bolt on this side, not underneath, between the two pieces of metal. And then I tighten them down with the nut. Steps 4 to 6 is to put on the wheels and then connect this back support to the back itself. And then you connect the back and the back support to the base. Actually, it's the back to the base. I said back support, but you connect the back to the base. So that's a typo. As you can see, pay close attention to the wheel. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but there's an order in which you put this stuff together, starting with the small screw or bolt on the outside, the big flat washer with the small hole next, and then the plastic insert, then the wheel, then the big flat washer with the big hole that goes onto the axle mechanism. So you can see that again. You can see that I've added a picture of the hardware again, and you can kind of see what it looks like on the left picture from the outside. It does matter which direction the wheel is facing, inward or outward, and it'll be pretty obvious because the plastic insert will only go in when the wheel is oriented correctly. Now, when I screwed the wheels on initially, I was concerned there was a gap there between the flange on the axle and the arm itself, because I was concerned I didn't have those spacers on the arm in correctly. But when I went ahead and tightened both wheels, the gap went away, as you can see on the right, and you can see the arm spacers up above, so I think everything's good. I did end up digging out an extra Allen wrench so I could tighten both wheels at the same time. I think that can be helpful. Okay, then I attached the back support to the back, and this is kind of sitting on my lap. Be careful of the orientation of the back support so that the proper side is up. So it's kind of like the smooth side is facing you, and you're attaching to the back side of the back support. And you can see once again the bolt and washer configuration. I've got the nut facing inward. I've got a spring washer or lock washer next to the nut, a flat washer, and then on the outside I've got the bolt head and the flat washer. Then you have to attach the back, not the back support, to the base of the unit. And once again, that shows you the bolt configuration. Again, these last two steps are using those assemblies of K and L that I talked about earlier. These last two steps are by far the easiest, I think, of the whole thing. And then you're done, and you can see the chaise lounge. You can see the back facing upward. There's a back support behind it, and then that back support is adjustable into these notches that are on the back of the arm. And that's it. I appreciate your listening. I hope you find this helpful. If I said something wrong or what have you, feel free to leave a comment. But that's it. Thanks. Good luck. Bye.